Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here by the Southern District of New York Courthouse. We've been coming during the Carroll versus Trump trial. We would often film here because you could see the convoy of Trump. Obviously today, almost entirely empty. But why are we recording here? We did a book. You can find it, Trump Trial 2. It's in both. It's in paperback. It's in audiobook, which is actually the format I would recommend, because then you can hear the trial in 3 hours and make your own decision how you would have ruled. But I digress. Why are we here? Because this is a corner on which, during these days, Gaza protests, people often will wait outside for, yes, people to be released from one police plaza behind myself there. Today, in the Southern District of New York Courthouse at 2 p.m., there's a hearing, a final, I guess, accepting the settlement in the George Floyd cases litigation. There's obviously some payment of damages, but there's also a kind of injunctive relief of a NYPD procedure to deal with protests going forward. Some city council people and something called the Common Sense Caucus have written in saying that the settlement shouldn't be approved, that it hamstrings responses to protests in the city. So we're going to do our best to cover that one as well. We also, over the weekend, post-Trump coverage, we wrote exclusively about an almost entirely sealed case in the SDNY in which Russell Frost, the estate of a man who was taken hostage in Iraq by an Iran-backed militia, has sued banks, including HSBC, including Citibank. And the case is sealed, and there's a John Doe witness who will be testifying about his employment at an Iranian-related company. That's the best I'll say. He's very concerned about retaliation. So we're trying to respect that, but the courts are public. Speaking of public, this is a new feature here, the financial news. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, Michael Sue, today they'll be releasing what they call their new merger guidelines for transparency. It seems mostly directed at banks to tell them, like, you can expect fast approvals from now on. Transparency means transparency for the consumer, communities, and for the public. And so far it hasn't been the place. There's been a certain number of large mergers in which Inner City Press has done FOIA requests for the underlying basis of approval, including letters from the bank CEO, and the OCC has denied them in full, including on appeal. So transparency for thee? I don't know. Finally, at the United Nations, the cover-up of the involvement of UNRWA staff in the October 7th massacre continues. Now, some are dissent. You can have it both ways. You can be concerned about what's happening now in the Gaza Strip without thinking that the UN staff members paid by taxpayers should be participating in the killing of unarmed civilians. I think it's a new low for the UN, and I think the response is a joke. The Office of Internal Oversight Services, that's supposed to investigate it, is a cover-up agency. I can say it having reported in great detail in the way they covered up sexual abuse claims, refused to investigate the banning of the press. The UN has become entirely corrupt. We will not rest. We want to re-enter, ask questions, and mostly cover the SDNY. To be continued.